Greetings, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This is the Elm City Lit Fest podcast. The Elm City Lit Fest is a celebration of literature, literary arts, and literary artists of the African diaspora. I'm Ife Michelle Gardine, the founder of Elm City Lit Fest, and I welcome you this evening. And our guest this evening, I'm very excited to say, is Anna Niakana. Anna, welcome, welcome, sis.
Thank you, Peace Queen. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. Anna was one of our featured authors at the Elm City Lit Fest on Saturday, September 11th. And we had to have her back because her book, I'm telling y'all, her series is exciting. So I'm going to read your bio a little bit and we can get to chatting. And Anna Niakana is an award-winning, best-selling author, motivational speaker, and entrepreneur. She got business happening, y'all. Businesses.
Thank you.
Gotta have that multiple stream of income. Get your hustle on.
There we go.
She's the owner of Naya Zuri Books. Naya or Nia?
Naya.
Naya Zuri Books and Naya Zuri Studios. Anna was born in Berlin, Germany in 1986 to a Ugandan father and German Moldavian mother. Her family immigrated to the United States in early 90s, settling in Stanford. So she's home. She's a home girl from CT.
You know it.
And Anna is now like, you got a journey. Let's talk about your journey because it's a long bio. I could go into it, but you Connecticut grown.
Yes.
And a sister. And
yes.
Let's talk because this series, Naya Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne, the beginning of it, the beginning series. What I love about this book is the purposeful intent of the name. So let's get into it, your inspiration, how you started, and then questions.
Absolutely. So we're talking about the beginning, the purposeful intent of the name. Naya Zuri means beautiful purpose in Swahili. So the intention is for children to understand that they have the ability to be purposeful. And what is this purpose? What does that mean? It's the driving force of your life force. It is what essentially is your true north, your internal compass for you on your own personal journey and pathway to becoming who it is you are meant to be. And you are meant to be who you declare yourself to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so encouraging and inspiring. And Naya Zuri is so the girl is like motivational. Like she get them Gonzalez twins brothers going.
Oh
like,
yeah. So you've been reading. Yes.
What? Let's go.
Let's go. She is fearless.
So I want to, how did the story come to you? And how is it evolving? Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So the story really is based on my childhood. It's based on my friends and I going outside and using our imaginations to be creative. And Naya Zuri, if you haven't figured it out yet, is loosely based on me. I was a tomboy growing up. I still very much am in a lot of ways. I just put, some earrings on these days. But essentially, I have two older brothers. So I was always ripping and running, mostly with the boys, doing fun things, climbing trees, just having all sorts of adventures. And really the creativity that really fueled our imagination was also to assist us to escape and to deal with the traumatic situations that were going on around us in our environment. So I feel that the arts is such a beautiful way to truly nurture a child's creativity and really their spirit, regardless of anything that may be occurring in their life. It keeps them expressing versus becoming numb to the things that they may be encountering.
Wow. definitely, as you go along this story, it just I can't tell you every page. My read it with my 9-year-old cousin.
Yes.
And, I don't know if she was, like, initially like, but then it picks up, it starts moving along,
Hmm.
taking young people on a journey, a journey. Let's talk about the journey, and I really like, how does it progress? Like, from this book to the next book to the next book?
Yes.
Was it your experiences? What was it?
So it's a mix of my wild imagination, which I still have, my upbringing, who it is that I am, right? Being a woman of the world and so many nations, and really understanding that it's important that our culture and our heritage is truly taught, not just at home, but also in the classroom. So the story was meant to not just be something that's read at home, but also something that students and administrators can really build into their curriculum. That way, our stories, our true understandings and our history that is usually not taught to us as youth actually have the opportunity to plant those seeds early on. So the story starts how to take it back home and start with the origin of all origins and begin this sci-fi exploration back in Africa. So I began with Kemet or ancient Egypt,
Yep.
and we have Nyazuri and the twins. Shout out to Hugo Miguel Gonzalez, and they are just on this wild adventure. Actually, let me back up. First, they accidentally go back to the Triassic period because they find this map. They don't know what they're doing. They read this like crazy incantation, and then the next thing you know, they're bloop, running away from a T Rex and trying not to get their heads chopped off. Then some more order and some more structure come in without giving it too much away. And Naya's homeroom teacher ends up being an explorer herself. They go to this school called Xavier and Xavier Elementary. So Naya's teacher and a couple of the other administrators at the school are actually one of the original Power of Three. The Power of Three being the three spirited explorers that are constantly utilizing the map and going through history to not only preserve it, but to also highlight it and show how all of the stories that we originate from, not only is it something to revisit because you should know yourself and you should know your history, but we truly wouldn't even exist today if it wasn't the case. So it's also to ensure that children find ways to see how they can overcome obstacles and challenges because now they're getting the opportunity to see Prince Tut, who's only 8 or 9 years old. And how does he become pharaoh of this kingdom at this age? His father passes mysteriously, no one knows what happens to him, and he's becomes a child ruler. How is that possible? What are the things, what are the characteristics that you need to hold within your own spirit to be a leader in your own life, young boy or young girl? Like it's actually possible. It's nothing so far fetched. And if you can do it in your own life in any sort of way, you can do it in any space, at home, at school, in your community. What sort of strong minded young people we could actually cultivate here, right?
So what like when I going back again to beginnings and beginnings and beginnings.
Mm,
When did you start the concept for the book? And like, okay, how was your writing process? Did the story just come? Your imagination, did your experiences look something you like you modeled it after yourself, but the story comes together. How did that happen?
yes. So the story, I started writing it about 5 years ago. And at the time, I was still working in corporate America. I was taking like two trains, a bus, and a car to get to my employer at the time. So I would utilize the time that I have mostly on the train to write my manuscript. And it started off just with an outline, like a bubble chart, and then an outline. I knew I wanted to create a story that had a strong female lead. So I just had to figure out what type of story that I wanted to be. I love sci-fi. I love adventure. And the whole point of making sure I keep history at the core of it, and specifically our history of Black and Brown, right? All of us that really created the origin of mankind, that we're really at the forefront. We're really spotlighted in ways that's not normally seen. So I started doing some research, figuring out in the age range in school, like what type of history, what type of countries are normally studied. And Egypt kept coming up. Yet Egypt still wasn't even really being clearly taught in a way where when I would speak to students, they would
Mhm.
tell me, Egypt's in the Middle East. They wouldn't really know what was going on. They haven't. was like, listen, we've got to fix this. I need to make sure our history is taught, it's taught correct. So that was a big indicator to me. And since I did want the story to begin in Africa first, I said, well, this is a perfect beginning. So let me begin the story with really introducing Naya, because Naya is the key. Naya Zuri is the key for the whole series. The adventure is one journey. Every adventure, every book will be a different journey. And then the journey really begins, chapter one, with Naya herself. And every character undergoes their own personal transformation and their own personal journey. As the series continues, you see the characters evolve. And it's a great way to really encourage our youth to not stay so put in their ways, to really explore themselves, explore the world, see what it is that they have to offer, and allow it not to be something that changes them, but inspires them to truly grow.
So, speaking of the characters, her brother Isaiah,
Mhm.
um, that it it was really inspiring to me to have, an other able person
Yeah.
represented. I have a nephew that has cerebral palsy, and
Mm,
he feels like yeah, everybody everyone thinks he's other abled except him,
mhm.
and it was very inspiring to see her brother who wants to learn basketball from Michael Jordan because he wanna play basketball in college, and he's popular with his dreadlocks. So how did you come to about with bringing that character, having another able character in there?
That is an excellent question. And let me tell you something. I have been on a lot of interviews talking about Naya Zuri for the past 4 or 5 years now. You are the very first person to ask me about Naya's brother, Isaiah, for the record. So thank you for truly reading and
Yeah.
understanding how every character, no matter how small you believe their role is, serves a purpose.
Ooh,
Let me
he's
begin there.
great. How did you get to bring him in? Like,
Yeah, so Naya, I absolutely wanted her to have an older brother because I have two older brothers, and it really feeds more into where she gets a lot of this like strong minded mentality, which at a young age it can just be seen as masculine energy, when really it's not. You know, we all contain the same hormonal balance. One gender has a little bit more than the other, yet that doesn't mean that you should suppress one over the other. You should allow it to really fuel you into who you are and your characteristics. So I knew she was going to have a brother. And I said, I really want to be able to highlight someone who has an amazing ability, regardless of how they were born into this world, that they can see how they can still fulfill their higher purpose, how they can still really truly live a life regardless of the circumstance. Whereas most people would just pack it up and, tell themselves that now they can't be a part of this club, or they can't play the sport, or they're not able to even have the friends or the social life that they want because of a disability. No
mm,
such thing as a disability. You have the ability. In fact, you have a super ability. So Isaiah
mhm,
had to be confident. He had to be someone, the character that truly gave Naya inspiration, because this is her older brother. So as she was growing up, she's observing her brother as well. And to really have that real time example for her is a really big reason of how strong minded she is and where that comes from, and her will and her perseverance and her mentality of not allowing a situation to really stop her. She always finds a way to problem solve. She finds a way to create conflict resolutions, and really a lot of times between the twins, because they're always at each other's necks. Um,
they're funny.
and in the heat of the moment, because their adventures are wild and crazy, and they're always in, like, it's always a crazy adventure, and their life is usually at stake, yet she understands how to focus, and she gets a lot of that from her brother. Real time, her brother teaches her a lot, and she references him quite a bit in the first half of the first book, Nizer and the Pharaoh's Throne, because he's constantly educating her, giving her knowledge, real time life, like common sense, like street smarts, and then also book smarts,
Mhm.
knowledge that's normally, once again, maybe not taught in the classroom yet, something where it begins at home first, is a real time example of it. So Isaiah is an amazing character, and his character will continue to evolve throughout the series. He wasn't so prevalent in the second book that just released, Nayazuri and the Mayan Eclipse, right? We'll get into
Okay, part
that.
2. Get
Yes,
part 2.
part two right here. Yet he will be back and play more of a prominent role in the third installment. So I have some big plans for him.
I'm really glad to hear that because we often like it is in society.
Mm,
Society often thinks of, and I say other ability because um again, like I said, I have a 22-year-old nephew who is other ability. He's had cerebral palsy since birth, and
mm,
he he goes horseback riding, he plays sports.
yes.
He talks politics and sports, and we got favorite teams,
I love it.
opinions,
Yes.
all the things.
Yes.
He is a strong young black man, and so I was really, it would just warm my heart to see the like, and they bought a new house in the first one.
Yes.
They
That's
moved from
another
an
part of the
apartment.
journey. Yes, they left their, their housing projects and they moved to the suburbs. So that really is how the story begins, and that was my storyline. It didn't happen for me until I got to high school. Yet I grew up in the projects in Stanford. They don't exist anymore because they were bulldozed. Yet that's where I grew up. And then at the same point, I had a shift. I had an opportunity. My family, we moved more to the suburbs of Stanford. And with that said, I was exposed to two different worlds, right? I had different neighbors. I had different schools that had different resources now. I had people that, didn't speak the same as me or eat the same foods as me. And I had to, once again, create like a whole new group of friends and really understand who it is that I am, regardless of my environment. Yet I also understood, and this is something Naya understands, that with that shift in my external environment, I now had more opportunities in life that were closed off to me because of the resources now,
Mhm.
and just because of the accessibility of places and services and things of that sort. And that's something I didn't take for granted. And that's something that Naya doesn't take for granted. She at first is really lamenting the fact that she has to start all over and make new friends and doesn't know anyone, and she's going to go to a new school. And then she realizes, like, no, like the Empress has arrived. She has that royal mentality of knowing who she is.
That
Right?
line is golden when she sees the lion head door
Or
knocker on
knocker.
the door. She's like, "Oh, the empress has arrived, and nobody's coming to this door without."
There we go.
She felt protected. I love the the things that are intertwined, the messages that are intertwined in that,
Thank you.
and that a move doesn't always have to be um traumatic or like just like you said, she was lamenting it, and her brother was like, well, what's next?
Right? I'm
What
about
we
to
gonna
sign up
do?
for this. I'm about to be under. I'm about to be the
I'm
captain of this basketball team. What's up? Like he was already. He was
he
ready.
was ready, and then you're hearing them talk in the car, and then when they're getting out of the car, and he's doing wheelies in the rain with his wheelchair, like, oh,
Yeah. He's stunting.
bruh,
Yeah.
what's your other ability? I love it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so, and when you talk to school systems, like, and for to put the add this onto curriculums, is that something that also a part of other ability that you have intertwined in it or included? Is it something that's mentioned?
It's absolutely mentioned, and I have in my curriculum and the points of really the whole Nayazuri series and all the different discussions, the conversations that it's going to open children up to and students up to. Right. That's one of the speaking points that are very important and vital because a lot of children, act out of ignorance. They don't know how to treat another that may have an other ability. I always love to say, "Don't diss my ability."
Oh,
Yeah. Don't diss my ability. I did a lot of I did a lot. Oh yeah. I can't take credit for it. There was a youth that I had been working with doing some community work in Stanford years ago, and they had it on a t-shirt. And I was like, I love this t-shirt.
oh man.
Remember that for lifetime. So
I'm
maybe
gonna get
something
that
that,
for my nephew.
yes, don't diss my ability, not
Don't
disability, but don't diss my ability.
because if people start talking differently, acting differently, it's not necessary.
It's
And
really,
it
yeah.
carries over to the young people. So, what are your other ventures, Anna Niakana?
Okay, so we'll talk about it. We talked about the first book. Naya Zuri and the Mind Eclipse just dropped. It's almost been 4 weeks, not quite. So I'm super, super excited because the adventure continues. And now they're going back to ancient Maya. And children are getting an understanding of how this knowledge really flowed from the River Nile and was carried on, right, through us as a people as we continue to spread throughout the lands. And we actually carried over this knowledge of astronomy, of science, of music, of traditions, of spirituality. It wasn't completely wiped away. If you really pay attention and you look at all the ancient kingdoms, you can see all the similarities and you can see the roots that they all spring from. So that's really such an exciting pinpoint for the Mayan eclipse, because Hugo and Miguel already are super excited because they're like, "Wow, we're going to learn about our heritage," because they come from that heritage. I leave it very open. I don't give them a specific nationality because I want all children to be able to identify with them of any sort of Latin or Hispanic or Hispaniola descent. And I didn't want to just box them in and say they were from a certain country. So with that said, they do have that heritage. So for them, they're thinking, oh, we're going to go back. We're going to learn all about us. And they're confronted with essentially learning their true history, learning the history of their peoples and the people, other people that came in and, came and caused the shifting,
The
right?
diaspora is
Yeah,
wild.
came and caused the shifting and infiltrated and came and took a lot of the riches and took the customs and what that ripple wave and that shock wave that it sent through the nations, from the Maya nation to the Aztec nations to the Incas nations. They all came under that conflict, from the Latin heritage. And so that was something that the twins had to also confront within themselves. And Naya's able to really be a sound voice for them to understand that it's not so much about um, carrying on like the pains or the devastation of our ancestors, but recognizing who it is that we are, and then taking that conscious choice to create who we are going to be today, right?
Yes.
And that
So
was that was not an easy subject matter to put in this book. I'm like, how do I talk about this without uh, demonizing another group of people, when really at this point in time, this was the way of the world, exploring, taking from that which that wasn't yours in the first place, putting your name and your country's flag on top of it. A lot of blood was spilled. A lot of people were taken early. A lot of things were stolen, and not just physical things. So it's like, how do you really introduce these understandings to young people without staining their mind on their own ancestry and history, and opening up the conversation to really understand the ways of the world, what things could have been done differently, what things did occur, understanding it, and then choosing to move forward with that knowledge.
absolutely. And what I because I just got through one, so
Ah, yes.
but and I got to keep harping on it. But I love how you intertwine also um uh, games and fun in it, like the crocodile hippo game, and
Woo!
Boaz is swimming to try.
My prince, and he's popping up, right? Yes, they have this crazy adventure on the River Nile. Because listen, they're kids. Like, Tut is a royal son, but he's a kid. He's only 8. They want to have fun, right? So they're in this river, and the crocodiles are coming out, and it is wild. And if you love that adventure, the Mayan eclipse is not, every chapter is, without giving too many spoilers, every chapter is a cliffhanger. That's one of my personal writing styles. I love the suspense of the adventure, the suspense. I
Yes,
want you to keep reading. Like, can I please read more? Can you imagine a parent is like, but mommy, I just want to read. It's like, yes, you can
yes,
stay.
that's the that's
Yes, stay up.
listen. Literature, literary arts, and literary artists. The lit part is about literacy and all, and reading all things and for all people.
Yes.
Because this is an education for all children. It really is. I mean, I like I said, the game, that was a pull in as well for a young person,
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, Tut was 8, so he was like, "Oh, I got this game, more people to play with."
Mm-hmm.
Boaz was like, "Oh no, children, whoa, I'll be over here waiting, but I don't."
Like, how do you follow your royal duty, and you also have to let the kid be a kid? at the same time.
And the assignments that they get from the teacher,
Yes.
okay,
Mhm.
that's coded.
Yes.
Like, that lends to the mystery as well, and, like, oh, there's some without giving the story away, because I want people to buy the book. It's
Yes.
some suspense in here.
Thank you.
And look at these children. Look how cute these children are. They're adorable.
Thank you.
So, what is next for Nizuri Productions for Anna?
Yeah, so that's an amazing question. Building on the literacy is now taking these amazing adventures and these stories and this empowerment from literacy to this digital screen right here. So I have been working on the animation for a little over a year now. Adventures with Nayazuri is the anticipated cartoon series, and it's almost complete. I'm in the final step of production now, and I'm also in the process of pitching it to networks and also just having the conversations of really getting it out there. So whomever wants to really partner to get this out, it'll also be released as an animated short film, and it will be accompanied by its own original soundtrack that I'm also co-producing. So we're keeping the sounds of us, the images of us, the words of us, really all focused on spreading the understanding of diversity, of culture, of representation for all children, right? Beginning with us and expanding it to all, because we really have to make sure that we don't ignore the beginning. You can't talk about what's happening now without truly going to the beginning, right?
Mhm,
And with that understanding, Nayazuri is just beginning. This empire, this movement, this tribe, and you are officially a part of the tribe, by the way, Michelle. So, welcome to the Nayazuri tribe. We love you. Thank you for your support. We're going to keep on building. We're going to keep on building up in all of our spaces because Nayazuri, it really is a movement. It's an understanding of purpose and how we all need to really contribute to that work as a collective, as a community, as a global family, and the reasons of why. Right, because it's not about you and I anymore. We've taken it all in that we can.
mhm.
Now it's really meant
Wow.
for us to
Yeah.
give back, give alongside, give forward. So Naya Zuri is just beginning the animation, the music, and then we'll see from there.
Okay. And as a mother, okay, you have what, 2 sons, right?
Yes.
Who are sleeping, we hope.
I hope so. I put them to bed early. Like, mama's got to work.
And how old are they, and what has it how has it been for them? Like, do they realize, like, mommy's doing something? Or they
Mm,
like, "I need you over here."
yes. So they are 3 and 6. And it really has clicked to them that mommy is really living the life that she's always wanted to live. When I was stretched in between and doing what I'm doing now while also putting 50 hours in corporate America, it was tough. It was tough. And they saw me being excited about my dreams, but only being able to truly live them to an extent. Now, especially my oldest, he really sees mommy truly living her dreams. My dreams are now not just something I'm thinking about or praying about or hoping to get to or only able to do on a vacation day because I have the PTO time, but really living it's my reality now. And the pride that I know that they have in me is it really fuels me. It fuels me dearly. Because I'm a real life example for them now. And children really do learn more from what they see than from what you tell them.
Mhm.
So for them to see it firsthand, I know that they have the ability. They know they have the ability to walk in their path, regardless of their circumstance, regardless of what they think they have to do. They can choose to do what they are called to do. And they'll be called to do what they declare is meant for them. They can do that. They don't have to wait for validation anywhere else. Doesn't matter if they get a bunch of no's. You know how many people, my editors like tore my manuscript up. They wanted Naya to not have this crazy curly hair. And, there are so many things. Listen, I had so many doors that didn't want to open for me at first. And yet I persisted. And that determination I know is something that my sons will inherit and something that all readers and really anybody in the tribe will inherit because I'm not different from you and I'm not different from anybody else on this live or anyone else that will watch this replay, anyone else that's going to read these books or see the cartoon, we all have the capability. It's just a matter of truly declaring it for ourselves. We have circumstances that pull us away from our true selves. And a lot of it is because we don't know who we are. And
Mm-mm.
that's, once again, why I started the series. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're from.
And let's talk about, because that makes everything more meaningful as a mom, as a mother, and as a mother of color. Because let's face it, girl, whoo, as your babies get older, we got stuff to deal with, and I feel that the information in your literature and what you're putting out there, um, will help everyone.
Mm,
'Cause again, LitFest is literary arts, literary artists, and literary arts of the African diaspora for everyone. We don't get it a lot. Many generations didn't get any familiar with African American literature until they got older, until they were adults, maybe,
mhm.
or later in life. And now, everybody, it's like everybody want to be black till it's time to be black.
Correct.
So what was the leap like for you? Because you said you were in corporate America.
Yes.
Um, you know, not to give up give your resume too much, but like, what was it? What got you to the point where, like, I'm just gonna go?
Mm.
What was the leap like?
There were a lot of, it was really an accumulation.
Mhm.
Once I started pouring more into my purpose, once the book was complete, once I got one school to call me back, once I did one author event, once I filled my first PO order for a school, once I did my first interview, it started accumulating. And me really speaking it, once you truly start living in your purpose, it's hard to just turn it off. That fire, right? It starts with like a little glow, and then it burns a little bit brighter, and it burns a little bit brighter, and then you kind of just become like a blaze, right? You're like set on fire, like literally girl on fire. Shout out to Alicia Keys. Like, you become a blaze. And that's what essentially was happening with me, my purpose. I'm sitting in this cubicle, taking PTO days off to go and live in my purpose, then coming back to the cubicle. It's like I'm punching in, punching out. It's like life on, life off, life on, life off. And it's this duality. Yes, you need to be able to provide for your family, which was important for me. Yet I also knew that I wasn't truly living my life. This is the one that you got at a time, and you truly are here to fulfill it. And it became such a it just became something that I couldn't ignore anymore. My passion and my purpose was something that was really keeping me up every night. So I was up till like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, sleeping a couple hours, then getting up and going to work and dropping the kids and getting into this routine. And then really the quarantine was a big blessing. So really I could actually shout out to that. The quarantine and being able to have that commuting time and being able to have more of that home life balance all of a sudden. I said, wait a minute, I have more time in the day to do like my purpose work? Because I call it purpose work. I'm like, wait a minute here. I can use this lunch break to do an interview. I can send emails. I could do a virtual visit with these kids in Canada during my, you know what I mean? Like in the morning, because I'm not sitting in traffic for 2 hours anymore. It's like, wait a minute, let me go even further. And that's when I said, you know what? This is really the life that I'm meant to live. And I want to fulfill the calling. A lot of us are called to actually do this work. I call it light work, yet not
Mhm.
everybody answers the call. I feel that Naya Zuri, all of her experiences, believe me, they're actually a lot of my own. And I realized that the elements of what I was missing that I put in this character, I do have now. And I have a responsibility to not ignore the call. So it really became more of an accumulation. It wasn't really just a single event. I can give some examples, yet to truly be honest with myself, it became something I couldn't ignore anymore. And then I started planning. I made my exit strategy. I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, let me save up this and nest egg here. Let me continue the work here. If I'm exhausted for a few months, I'm exhausted. I'm just going to do what I can, made my plan, and then finally made my clean break. And I haven't looked back since. And now the movement has grown, and now it's almost a Nayazuri nation at this point and beyond, because I'm not stopping. I'm no longer giving 50 hours to somebody else. I'm truly giving it to myself, to my purpose. And I have to thank my creator for giving me the understanding of who it is that I am, and really the power and the goddess energy of declaring myself to be.
Absolutely, girl. I totally, totally agree with that. I feel like, the first year of Lit Fest, we had to go virtual.
Mm,
Um, and it and we started this podcast. So I get to meet
yeah.
more people globally. I mean, we wanted to we our intention is to feature local, regional, and global artists of the diaspora, and it truly has happened. And we were able to have a live celebration this year. But like, I love doing this podcast and meeting great people, and then
Mm,
talking more in depth with folks about their process and how they get there and the leap, girl. That faith, that, like you said, your purpose work, and
yes.
it doesn't feel like work.
No.
Like, and that gets to a topic, maybe talk about a little, um, because I don't wanna use the word obstacle, but
Mm,
the challenges, if you may,
okay.
of, when you decided to go all in and do it. And also, there are folks close and not so close, and people fall off.
Mm.
Um, without any but did you experience some of that, and what was your work is your motivation, but how was it for you getting through that?
It truly was revealing of how much I really am about what I say I am about. You can't just step out on faith or surrender in faith on something that you actually are not faithful about. Right? A lot of people talk about ideas. A lot of people like to talk about things they want to do. And then, even if the opportunity presents itself, they don't always take it because they don't actually believe in what they're saying. So really, that was a big confrontation. Is this really my purpose? Am I really about this? Is this really what I want to dedicate my life to? And the answer was very clearly yes, yes, and yes. And it didn't matter how many no's I got. I knew that I was going to continue in this work, and that it was going to be everything that I envisioned it was going to be. I was truly going to manifest it, and it's happening right now, presently. And it's a sheer it's a sheer blessing, and a showing and a revealing of determination and discipline and consistency. First for yourself, because everything starts at the root, right? So really believe it in yourself,
Yeah,
declaring it for you. And it's not about waiting for a cosigner. You really signing for yourself. You declaring something is, and it actually being. You saying who it is that you are, and you actually being. Simple as that.
simple as that, child. Because like, there were just in my personal journey for Lit Fest,
Mm,
there were surprises along the way
yeah.
from friends, and, well, so-called friends, and some relatives that
Mm,
were like, "You doing a Black Book Festival in New England?" "Yeah, there's Black people here." But
right?
and not getting the full grasp of this is for this information,
Hmm.
this platform that is being created is for everyone, for the culture of the African diaspora to be shared,
Hmm.
for the talent, the words, and the stories. Because
Mm,
these stories, like, not taught everywhere. Not, I mean, it would be wonderful to get your book, like, in the middle of Wisconsin somewhere, or in that damn state of Kentucky where they trying to be crazy right now. And
right?
and Texas, like, folks, the more I feel like the more we know about ourselves,
Mm,
the better we feel about our place in the world.
yes.
And the more others know about our culture and our contributions and our talents, the
Mm,
less threatened they feel.
Absolutely. And there were less ignorance. Here's the thing, our true story hasn't been told yet.
Mm-mm.
It hasn't been told yet. We're telling it now, those of us that are choosing to really step into it. Yet it hasn't been told yet. There's so much misinformation, so many things that are misleading, so many things that are, meant to hide and disclose and everything, because it truly would empower us. It would unlock us if kids really know about their true like genetic markers and who it is that they hail from. Do you know like how they would walk with their chests up and their head up and their spirits high because they know Nefertiti was their great grandmother times, a million point five. Like, do you understand that energy
Or
alone
if more 8-year-old black children knew that Tutankhamun had became king at 8 years
at
old.
8 years old? And they look just like him, and he has an adventurous spirit and loves to play and loves to have fun, yet also understands that he can be a leader and be responsible as a child. Well, it gets kids kind of out of childish ways for a long time, for an extended time, which can kind of even carry into adulthood, and it truly inspires them to really take accountability for themselves. Be more aware of who you are in this world. What is it that you have to contribute? Because you're a child, you don't just get like a ticket to do nothing. You know how many children are truly changing this world that we don't know about, who
This
have done it in the past and who are doing it presently?
Despite the disparities,
Yes.
despite being, not believed in constantly, or being in school and told because you may have an alternate way of learning.
Mm,
Because some children have an alternate way of learning,
yes.
and Tutankhamun, they were there when they heard his daddy dying.
Mm.
Like, girl, that
That was
page
intense. Yes.
that
Yes.
part of the story right there, the support, they were there to support him when they hear it happening. This child is going through some stress, like, they're I'm reading this in all kinds of just, social service, all just
Mm,
plethora of ways that your book can be utilized for so many things.
mm.
I would like my social worker friends to see it. In addition to the educators, but like people working with kids in foster care,
Mm.
because that the children in this all the children, all the characters in this, the inner strength, and there's always those one or two adults that are your guides,
Yes.
like Miss Riley. Is it Miss Riley?
Miss Ridley.
Ridley. Miss
Yes.
Ridley.
Shout
You
out
know,
to
and
Ridley.
the crossing guard.
Yes.
I don't know what about the cross guard yet,
Oh, you're
but
about to find out in the
crossing
second
guard.
book. And the principal, you're about to find out in the second book. Everyone plays a part, us as elders, us as the historians in our communities, right? In our homes, in our communities. Like it really is up to us to leave that blueprint to guide the next generation. That's not just for a fairy tale. That's not just for a book. That truly is like a charge to all of us to truly awaken to that responsibility. And like I said before, our story has not been told. So I'm here to tell it. How about you?
Oh my gosh. So how it you have a publishing company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
How do these things come out of but okay, I have to do that because you wanted to do your own work, or what? How did it happen?
Oh my goodness. It happened with me really taking my life into my own hands. I attempted to go the traditional route with publishing. I submitted my manuscript to dozens and dozens of publishing companies, very large scale, independent, everything in between. I got a lot of great responses, yet they wanted me to truly change like a lot of the fundamental things in the story that it was not something I would negotiate. And then I also got a lot of no's. Like, we love the story, but do you have to go to Africa first? We love the story, but do you need to have a black character? We love the story, but it just doesn't fit with what we're working on right now. And I'm looking at your catalog of what you have as far as children's books, and there's no representation. I'm like, Okay, I see where you guys are focused. Okay, that's fine. We're just not aligned. So after getting the no's and the maybes and could yous, I really had to pray and meditate on it, and I created my own pathway. I created the pathway so I could keep the integrity of who Nayazuri is as a character and who the story is supposed to touch and the true purpose of what the series is supposed to do. And I truly gave myself that charge to create that pathway and that opportunity for myself. When I saw that at the time, the certain individuals or organizations, it was just not lining up. When something is not lining up or not aligning because of external factors, does that mean that it's not true? Does that mean that it's not meant to be? Does that mean that it's not valid or a great idea or a great product or a great service? Or is it simply that you need to internally create that possibility? And that's what I did.
Oh, you are so blessed.
Not knowing what I was doing. I really did not know what I was doing at first. I used like a third party service to assist me with publishing it. I didn't know. Then they actually maintained a certain piece of control of it, and like cost and things of that sort. So I do have a business degree. I'm like, wait a minute, let me figure this thing out. Like, I really want to have complete control over my intellectual property. I want to be the one to say what I want to do with it, where it's available, what countries, what distributors, to set the price mark. If I want to put it on sale, if I want to give it away for free, what do I want to do? I'm absolutely going to now create this and start formulating this. Let me get my business together. This is my life. So that's as that awakening started happening, I then created the new pathways to launch Nayazuri Books, which is now my own book imprint, 100% owned by myself, and something that, like we were discussing before the interview started, long term I will be publishing other authors and continuing the stories of representation and supporting authors that are here also to tell our stories. For right now, though, I've got to build this empire up, Nayazuri and everywhere else it's going to expand. Yet I'm laying the groundwork for that.
Okay, so what would be your a sentence you would want to share in as a remembrance or legacy for yourself
For myself?
or for your empire that you're building?
Ooh, Nayazuri. Nayazuri, giving the keys to the youth and the world to unlock themselves.
Wow.
We'll start there.
Wow.
Otherwise, this live will go on for 8 hours. Okay.
Girl, you are so very inspiring, Anna. I'm so blessed to have met you. I really feel good. I'm so glad. I was like, oh yeah. And shout out to, is it Plug Star?
Yes. Shout out to Plugstar. Shout out to Plugstar, my
Yeah.
PR. They are amazing. Michelle is constantly looking and finding, and we have been strategizing for months. We're like, the second book's about to drop. What are we going to do? We really have to make sure now that the world is opening up more and we're outside, like, what
Mhm.
can we do to really get involved in the communities? The Elm City Lit Fest was such an amazing event. I have to just pause and really salute
Thank
you and
you.
everybody that put it together. The vision that came through and everyone that it brought out was such a great example of those of us that are here to truly share knowledge and support each other in our individual purposes. It was a much success. I know it's only the beginning, yet much success. And
Girl.
play a pivotal role, and we all play a role. And that's what it is. It's like we have this, there's this grand puzzle. It's literally not one of us don't take up this entire puzzle. It's
Mm-mm,
billions of us.
mm-mm.
We all have a piece. We all have a part in this grand puzzle, this grand design of humankind and progression and life itself. Are you going to sit out or are you going to place yourself in? And that's what Elm City Lit Fest truly was. It was such a place marker of everybody choosing to place themselves in for that event, for that understanding, for that support. So much success to you. And
Oh, and we appreciate your participation and support of it. And what is next for you? Like, where are you gonna be next? Like, where can we get the books? Did you I always have to shout out People Get Ready books.
yes,
Um, in New Haven. So I hope they have the first one.
They have the first one. They're getting the second one. I'm working on doing an event with them, so I should be doing an event soon. And you can just go to my website www.ananayakana.com and order my books from there. You can leave the name of the child or whomever you're purchasing the books for in the checkout box, and I will personalize and autograph the books and send them to you. So Amazon can't do that, all right? I will actually do that, and I feel like it's such an encouragement to any young reader, especially when they see their name in the book. They feel like it's something already for them special in here to discover for themselves. So it's such an encouragement for them to really gain that love of literacy if they don't have it already. So go to my website, keep up with me, all social media. I put it on here at Nayazuri, and you can see what's happening, what am I doing, what's coming up. There's a lot of other secret projects and things that are opening up that I can't quite say yet, so just keep up with me. Just know I'm continuing the work, and I'm grateful for all the support.
And yes, and we want to shout out to our our Facebook people that listen, watching us, Michael Twitty and Malachi Easton. Michael Twitty said his son works at Netflix.
Okay.
Hit a girl up. Hit
Give
a
me a
girl
call.
up.
Give me a call. I'm ready.
We're gonna hold you to it.
I'm gonna hold you to
Um and everyone, please like. If you on Facebook and you ain't you don't have a comment, but you can share it with your friends. Send it out on YouTube as well. Share. Share it. And go on Anna's website, go in her on her Facebook, her Instagram, share the information.
Thank
'Cause
you.
that's a way to spread that's how we get it out there. We got to
For
share
that.
the wealth, spread the news, spread the word, and of course, Baobab Tree Studios is my ride or die.
All right.
He my ride or die. Shout out to Rev Kev for keeping us on and popping.
Meet you, Kev.
So go on Baobab Tree Studios TV to also share this video for future use. And Anna will be sending it to you. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to I guess season 2,
Ooh,
episode 1 of Elm City Lit Fest, the podcast. Blessings to everyone. I'm Ife Michelle Gardine, and we'll see you next time.
peace and blessings.